This is your first and final warning. This material may not be suitable for children and sensitive adults, especially Satanists. Be aware, none of the people pictured in this fictional presentation are in any way associated with Satanism or with this product. The sign has been given by your hands, not for the University of Texas. We all know what that hand signal really means. The signal of 666. You who have signed the documents with your names, knowingly. You who have sworn the pledge of blood and death. There is no going back. There is no giving grace. Swearing to be silent about what you have done will not save you, not this time. We all know now who you swore to, the Dark Lord, the darkness that will come, he who has raised his hand against the earth for over 1,000 years, but that time is over. The end is nigh. The time for judgment has come. It's too late to change. It's too late. You've been caught up. You've been surprised. You are captured by the moment, and your bones alone may shake. Your head may explode, but it is too late for you. So why now, after all of this time? How will this happen? Where will it happen? And who will be caught up in this? Who will be judged? We already know part of the secret. The Mayans knew about this in 2012. It wasn't the end of the earth. It was a warning. 2012 was the last chance. It was a chance for those who had made a horrible mistake to not face the end of reality for themselves. They could make a change. They could make a choice. If they did not, it is now too late. Those who wrote their names swore the oath and gave their most treasured souls for so little to the forces of darkness. The judgment has come and gone. 2012 was the last warning. And finally it has come to pass. 2020 was the last time on this earth for forgiveness, for those corrupt souls to truly repent and turn away from their dark master and exalt instead for the light, life, and love. The final closing of the door was December 21st, 2020. Jupiter and Saturn were in conjunction in Aquarius. But we'll step back for a moment because, first, how will the Satanists know that the judgment has begun against them? Yes, they will feel it coming, and there are ways that they will know it's coming, and we will see it as well. It will be clear that they are separated from us. They will be highlighted. People will notice them and step away and understand that these are those who will be damned before God. They will begin to see themselves also as isolated, alone. They will fear that they have been separated from the great Almighty for so little a gift of a separate life from the light. Now they will feel their bodies separating from their minds and their souls. There will be a separation feeling inside of them as if they had been pulled apart, and they will feel an encircling, a force of light starting to form and swirl around them. They will feel this and be in great fear and apprehension. And it has been predicted in prophecy in Revelation 20:7 through 10, when the 1,000 years are over, Satan will be released from his prison and will go out to deceive the nations in the four corners of the earth. That happened over 1,000 years ago, and now that time for punishment has arrived. Or again in Revelation 20:7 through 10, but fire came down from heaven and devoured them, and the devil who deceived them was thrown into the lake of burning sulfur. They will be tormented day and night forever and ever, and that is the lake of fire, of complete disintegration of the soul. You may ask, how will the Satanists be culled? That requires digging deep into several rabbit holes of science and news about our culture and what has happened secretly behind doors. But be sure of this, as in Matthew 3:12, his winnowing fork is in his hand, and he will clear his threshing floor, gathering his wheat to the barn and burning up the shaft with unquenchable fire. This judgment about the second death is all about portals to other dimensions. It is nothing new. but it is complicated. Humanity has stood before these gateways, these portals in the past. It is nothing new, but only the great power can open them up. What you will see from past histories is that civilizations have suddenly disappeared by their own accord, possibly to a new world, a better place, at the direction of the Almighty. Such civilizations that disappeared suddenly without understanding include the Maya, Khmer, the Harappans, Easter Island, Cahokia, Anasazi, Petra, Olmec, Terra Preta, and the Aksum, just to name some. This is nothing new. It has a long history of human beings moving from this reality into another. Sometimes those realities on the other side are painful, sometimes they are enriching and enlightening. If you have any doubt that these gates have existed before, look at the remains that have been left in other civilizations. They occur throughout the world without explanation, no longer usable, no longer transporting to other places, but they are clearly there for all to see. Unfortunately, current humans, under the influences of the dark forces, have tried to rebuild such things. One example that reflects those same stone gates is part of the Texas Super Collider at Waxahachie, Texas, underground. Notice the very same shapes and the design. What was planned was to build a great vault wherein those of the dark forces could transport safely and not be caught up by God's power to pull them into the dark lake, the place of eternal burning. But this did not work, and that site is protected even today, so we cannot see what the dark forces really planned. Beneath the Denver International Airport lies other secreted passageways designed and built as portals, which can never be used, which were going to be used again by the dark forces to escape, but now that has been blocked. Another one is the Hadron Super Collider. It is indeed a form of doorway, a way to escape that was being designed and tried to be opened so it could be held open, along with the forces of using the HARP. Those radio signals were used to try to build an open doorway that could be used by those who are trapped here, who want to leave, who have worked with the dark forces, as shown in the night sky over Norway, where some of their attempts were caught in the night sky. These portals failed. They cannot escape. They are trapped here. They will face the judgment. Revelation 3:7 clearly states, "What he opens no one can shut, and what he shuts no one can open." Man may not, and other forces that are here as well, cannot force these to be opened to prevent their judgment. So we know, though many previous cultures may have gone willingly to a new world, what would compel Satanists to face the lake of fire? Why would they even enter these portals, or what would pull them to go through them to their judgment? Again, in Revelation 8:13, it says clearly, here is the answer, God's summoning call. Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth because of the trumpet blasts about to be sounded by the other three angels. Those trumpet blasts have been heard. They have been sounded throughout the world for decades now. People have recorded them, strange sounds in the sky that are the trumpets of the Lord, telling us that this deep underground welling, this sound that everyone is hearing, is nothing more than the call which is beginning to bring forward the rendition of these beings, these Satanists. It's like the deer who are trapped beneath the net when the sound of their antlers and the sound of their own voices are recorded and played. Like in the movie The Time Machine, the Eloi are brought forward by the sound they are conditioned to respond to. They have to go into the dark temple, which is their ending. They have no choice. And the dark truth is, once you are inside the other side of that doorway, no matter how hard you push on the other side of that mirror, you cannot escape. You are trapped, and you are within that dimension forever. Now, the timing for all of this is complex. There are many interactive parts, ways that are showing us that all of the predecessors have occurred before the ultimate judgment. How and when will this righteous judgment be fulfilled? There's no joy in knowing it will be in our current lifetime. The tribulation is now at its height, but those sworn to Satan are desperate. The souls of light are resisting. There are still great battles ahead, but the time will come when the 3 days of darkness will preclude the culling. Some have misinterpreted the idea of the raising of the dead. Part of this is the change of the world. The world itself must be shaken by this great earthquake, and it has already occurred. We know about this because of the many lives lost during this horrendous earthquake. In 2011, the Hohoka earthquake in northeastern Japan was a record breaker. A magnitude 9.0 quake that shook Japan and the world's biggest earthquake since 1900. Most terribly, it unleashed a 39-meter high tsunami, killing almost 16,000 people. The earthquake had effects on a global scale, however. The quake shortened Earth's day by 1.8 microsecond and shifted its axis by 17 centimeters. In other words, the Earth has been completely changed, as was sworn to us, was prophesied by the Great Hand. Then coming are the 3 days of darkness, which are misinterpreted and should be understood as not necessarily that the world will become dark, but people must reach for the darkness to stay alive. If the magnetic field of the Earth is changed and weakened over time from being twisted by this earthquake and by the magnetic field flipping, we could face radiation exposure from the sun of such magnitude that it would be dangerous to go outside until the Earth re-establishes its magnetic core. These could be the days of darkness. We must be ready for that. It is one of the signs that the big judgment is coming. It is also important to understand the makeup of the soul. There are many parts that make up the body and the soul bound together, different layers from the etheric to the causal body. These are known by people who study these things, the sensitives. There are many parts around the shell that the soul works within inside the body. Those must be torn away and ripped away as the demonic forces try to escape from the body before the judgment, for they will not be the ones judged. The satanic forces, the demons themselves inside of the bodies of those who swore, will try to escape because they will not go to the lake of fire. The soul of those who swore to the dark Lord will. Those who have sworn to the dark side are surrounded by these evil forces, encircled by them, but individual ones will be strong around the body, holding on to it, pushing against it. But there will become a time when it will no longer manipulate but break free from its shell that's held within that body. And when it breaks free, when it decides to move forward, it will rip away from different parts of the spiritual body, starting from around the navel area, pulling free from the heart, ripping itself out of the heart itself, going from the throat, pulling away from the throat and ripping open, going for the face and the mind and the eyes and the mouth that spoke evil, and pulling away to its side all the demonic forces, and eventually pulling up through the head, through the top of the head, all the forces that were within that body that had sworn to evil. That will be incredibly painful. Now, the other part of all this that is misunderstood as this process begins, as the demons have left the body, the rapture is not what many think. The rapture is not that you will suddenly see these people vaporize and disappear. That is not what will happen. What will happen is that the soul will rise up, be pulled out of the body, and leave whatever shell is left behind after the demonics are done with it. The part that is most painful for them before they go to their judgment is that they will go to a higher place and face the true light and realize that they are going to be separated from it forevermore and never return. And that is the great pain, the great suffering of the soul, to know that it will be isolated away from all of its knowing, all of its blessed creation. And then it will go forward, finally, towards the portal. A portal that they cannot resist. A portal that is so dark and threatening that it will pull them forcefully into it, just like the Eloi in the time machine. And they will try to fight. They will try to come back and force away from it. But they will see the dark forces behind the screen and know that it is their time and they are ended. For they will reach the other side and fall, standing on the edge of the precipice before the lake of fire, and they will fall before it. And woe unto them for their understanding. They will know what is happening to them. They will know that they have been gathered up like the wheat chaff to be judged, and there will be no escape. They will feel the burning fire taking away all of those bodies in the outside that identified who they were over many lifetimes perhaps. Everything about them, everything they were, everything they thought they were going to be will burn away in that crowd of others, suffering, screaming, yelling, begging for forgiveness, which cannot happen, for they have made the decision to be where they are. No one forced them to be those choice makers. They did it themselves. But now they will stand alone. They will not be holding the hands of others. They will be furiously burned away and cleansed of all the darkness around them. And it may take forever and ever and ever. Their hands will rise up in terror and in pain as they will be consumed by the fire and lowered into its depths, to be purified, to become something else in the future, and perhaps in the greater powers find new life somewhere else once they have been totally cleared of all the darkness. That is the final judgment.